Okay, so for question 21, how many solutions does the equation have? We have 2 times x plus 3, so first we just multiply that out, which gets us 2x plus 3 times 2 is 6, plus x equals, and then the same thing for this side, 3x plus 3 times 2 is 6. So in this case, we have 2x plus x, which is just 3x, plus, we still have the 6, equals 3x plus 6. In this case, since we have 3x plus 6 equals 3x plus 6, since they're the same equation, no matter what we get for x, any value of x will make this equation true. So how many solutions does this equation have? Infinitely many. The correct answer is D. Okay, question 22. Okay, so for question 22, the solution to given six equations is xy. What is value of 5x minus 2y? Well, in this case, with the x and y we're given, we can actually just add the two equations. So we have 4x minus 8y equals -1, and we have x plus 6y equals -10. Well, in this case, if we just add the bottom equation to the top equation, we get 4x plus x is 5x. Negative 8y plus 6y is negative 2y. And then we have negative 1 plus negative 10. So negative 1 minus 10, which would just be negative 11. So what is the value of 5x minus 2y? So 5x minus 2y is equal to negative 11. So correct answer is D. And also, if you try to solve for x and y, they're both like really weird decimal answers. So this is the way they expected you to solve it. Okay, question 23. Okay, so for question 23, the best way to solve this is to just graph it. Um, in this case, Desmos. This is not the graphing calculator. Okay, and I'll also show you how to do it without graphing, but we have x squared minus 8x plus 20, or plus 20. And so as you can see, this quadratic function never intersects the x-axis, so there is no solution, or answer choice A, zero real solution since it never crosses the x-axis. So the function never equals zero. Um, Another way you could solve it is also just doing x squared minus 8x equals negative 20 because you subtract 20 from both sides, and then you see um, you try values of x. So x squared will always increase faster than 8x as you get to higher values of x. So that means you only have to test the first few terms. So you could test x equals 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you test these four terms and it doesn't, and you never get an answer on the left that is smaller than the answer on the right, so you'd have to get like negative 20 or like negative 25 or like anything lower than that, then um, you can use induction to prove that there is at least one solution. But in this case, if you try these four, you'd never have the lowest value you'd get is negative 15 or negative 16, I think, which would not be lower than negative 20. So you could do it that way as well, but that's a bit more complicated way than just graphing it. Question 24. Okay, so for question 24, we're given the room for the seminar can hold a maximum of 58 teachers and students. So the number of teachers plus the number of students has to be, so it says maximum, so that means it can be less than that or it can be equal to 58. And then for the second equation, we're told each teacher will lead a group of no more than 8 students. So teacher and students, and then so if we multiply the number of teachers by 8, say if we have one teacher and we multiply it by 8, then that means we have 8 students, right? So that means one teacher is to 8 students. And in this case, all the answers are t by itself, so we just take t equals s over 8 because we divide both sides by 8. So these are our two inequalities, this one and this one. This wouldn't be equals to, it'd be, this says no more than 8 students, so this would actually be greater than or equals to s over 8. Um, so if we look at their answer choices, this one is greater than or equals to when we want less than or equals to. This is less than or equals to, so that's fine. This is greater than or equals to, which we don't want. And this is less than or equals to, which is fine. And then for the other equation, this is 8s, which we don't want that. We want s over 8, so the correct answer is D. Okay, question 25. Okay, so for question 25, we're told 100 squares and 60 are shaded, so that means the total is 100 and 60 shaded. What is the probability? If one of these squares is selected at random, how much greater is the probability of selecting a shaded square than the probability of selecting a square that's not shaded? So shaded square is 60 out of 100. Not shaded would be the rest. So there's 60 shaded, so that means there's 40 that's not. So that's 40 out of 100. And how much greater? So in this case, we just take 60 over 100 minus 40 over 100. So that's 60% minus 40%, which is 20%. 60 minus 40 is 20. So the correct answer is A, 0.2. Okay, question 26. Okay, so for question 26, what is the y-intercept of the graph? Y equals a sin to the power of x minus c, where a and c are positive constants. Well, in this case, y-intercept is when x is 0, so we can just substitute that in the equation. We get y equals a 17. Anything to the power of 0 is just 1. So we just have a times 1 minus c, y equals a minus c. So we have x is 0 and y is a minus c, which is answer choice D. Okay, question 27. Okay, so for question 27, we're told um, in total they can sell different amounts of photos and videos to receive $300, which equation represents the situation. So if she sells only Y, she only needs to sell 6. So we have 300 over 6 equals the value for Y. In this case, it seems like it's actually supposed to be V. I don't know why this says Y here. It's kind of weird. Anyway, but um, 300 over 6 is 50. And then for P, she only needs to sell 15. So in this case, it would be 300 over 15, which is equal to 20, I'm pretty sure. So in this case, you have 50V plus 20 times P equals 300. So PV equals 300. No, 20P plus 50V equals 300. So correct answer is B. 50P, no, it's supposed to be 50V. And then 15P plus 6V, no, that's not correct either. So the correct answer is B. Okay, question 28. Okay, so for question 28, given a cross-section of the planet Mars is shown. Each of the three layers is spherical. Radius of Mars is 3,390 kilometers. Radius of core is half the radius of Mars, which are following is closest to total volume in cubic kilometers of the mantle and crust combined. Well, in this case, we're told it's spherical and we're told volume. So in this case, it would just be 4 over 3 pi r cubed as the volume formula. So in this case, we need to find the volume of the entire planet and then subtract the volume of just the core to find the volume of the mantle plus the crust. So this is definitely something you need a calculator for, because yeah. So we're gonna go over to Desmos, and we're gonna have so 4 over 3, 4 over 3 times pi times the radius cubed. So the radius was 3,390 cubed, which gives us this answer. And then for the core, it says that it's half of the radius, so we just have to take 3,390 divided by 2, and it's the same formula, so we have 4 over 3 times pi times, in parentheses, we have 3,390 divided by 2, and this should be to the third power. And to find the answer, we just have to take this top function and subtract the bottom function from it to find the area of the mantle and the crust. So that would just be 1.63 times 10 to the 11th minus 2.03 times 10 to the 10th, which is 1.427 times 10 to the 11th. So that would be about 143 billion, or answer is D. Yeah, 1.427 times 10 to the 11th. So 1.43 times 10 to the 11th. So the correct answer is D. Okay, question 29. Okay, so for this question, we're given two triangles, and we're asked to find which additional piece of information can prove the triangles are similar. So in all cases, to prove two triangles are similar, you either need two angles or you need an angle and two side lengths that are adjacent to the angle. So in this case, we have 60, so we would either need LM, we'd either need this, or we would need an angle measure of um, MLN or an angle measure of MNL, and obviously the corresponding version on this other triangle. So we need one of those three pieces of information for it to prove that they're similar. So in this case, we have the length of line segment PQ is 2/3 the length segment of LM. So PQ and LM, well, that matches this as one of the conditions, so that works. And then in this case, it's line segment PR is 2/3 the line segment LN. Um, that is not one of the conditions we have, so it can't be 2. So the correct answer is A. And the reason why it can't be 2 is because we don't know anything about this angle measurement or this angle measurement, so we could have a triangle that's, say, like this, where this is still 60, but this is like a right angle, and then we have another angle measure here, and then we have another triangle that's like this, where this angle measure is still 60, but this angle measure and this angle measure changed, and this line segment could be 2/3 of this original line segment still. So 2 doesn't give us enough information to actually say that they are similar triangles. We need another piece of information, or one of these three to be exact. So correct answer is A. Question 30. Okay, so for question 30, which of the following statements best compares the mean and median of the data shown in the frequency table? So in this case, we have to find both the mean and median. So in this case, to find the median, we just take the frequencies. So in this case, we have 6 and 4, so that leaves us with 2 here. And then 2 and 3 leaves us with 1 here. And then 1 and 5 leaves us with 4 here. And then 4 and 2 leaves us with 2 here. So in this case, the median would be 25. Or if there, anyway, there is, anyway, in total, if you add these up, there's 20 frequencies, so the median would be at 10, which 6 plus 5 is 11, so it would also be at 25. You can also figure it out that way. Anyway, so that's the median, and then for the mean, we just have to multiply the values by the frequencies. So in that case, we have uh, 10 times 4 plus 15 times 3 plus 20 times 2 plus 25 times 5 plus 30 times 6. Um, that gets us 430. And then we have to divide that by the total number, 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, which is 20. So 430 divided by 20 is equal to 21.5. So in this case, the mean is 21.5 and the median is 25. So the median is greater. So in this case, the median is 5 greater than the mean. No, it's 3.5 greater, which actually the answer is B. Median is 3.5 greater than the mean. Equal to no, and the median is 1.5 less no. So the correct answer is B. Okay, question 31. Okay, so for question 31, we have the graph of the linear function. What is the y-coordinate for the y-intercept? In this case, the y-intercept is when x is equal to 0 or 1.5. So correct answer is 1.5. Okay, question 32. Okay, so for question 32, we have a line of best fit. How many data points does a line of best fit predict a greater y value than the actual? That basically means how many points are below the line. 2, 4. The answer is 4. Okay, question 33. Okay, so question 33. We have a function, we have a slope of -2 and a point, 3, 8. So in this case, x goes +3, and the slope is -2, so that's going to be 3 times -2 is -6. So if we're going from +3 down to 0, we have to add 6 to the original value of 8. So 6 plus 8 um, is 14. So the correct answer is 14 for the value of b for the intercept. Okay, question 34. Now for question 34, what is 19% of 200? In this case, 200 is double of 100, so 19% of 100 is 19. So 19% of 200 is just double that, which would be 38. So 38. Correct answer is 38. And it's time, so